Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Peter Sasdy's second film of the year, Hands of the Ripper. You may remember from last week that Peter Sasdy did Countess Dracula. Both are Hammer horror films. Hammer did 6 horror films in 1971. He did, Lust for a Vampire. They did Twins of Evil, which was released on a double feature with Hands of the Ripper. They did Countess Dracula, and they did 2 more we didn't talk about yet, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde and Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. So we'll do those 2 soon. Peter Sasdy did Countess Dracula, which was about Elizabeth Bathory, a serial killer, and now we have one kind of about Jack the Ripper, who's another real-life serial killer. This is about actually his daughter, although I don't think he had a daughter in real life. But in this film, we've got Jack the Ripper coming home from a killing one day, and his wife and daughter are there. His wife figures out he's a killer, and then he kills her in front of his little daughter. Now, we don't know what happens to Jack the Ripper after that. In real life, Jack the Ripper was around in the late 1880s and 90s. This then takes place when the daughter would be a teenager, so it's probably somewhere around 1903, 1906, somewhere there. The movie's all right compared to Countess Dracula, which came out in January 1971. Hands of the Ripper, which came out in September, I would say is not as good. The story is a little slow. It's not filmed as beautifully as Countess Dracula was. It's not really a gothic piece. Not really, I don't think. There's no castle. It takes place in the city of London. It feels more modern than many other Hammer films, even though it's set 100 years ago. At the time it came out, it was set 60 years before it came out, a little less than 60 years before it came out. So it's still a period piece. Like I said, in some ways it's a little slow, but also it's one of the most violent and gory Hammer films up to that point, other than maybe the Frankenstein films. And even then, I think this is probably the goriest Hammer film up to the point that it was made. Now, I read a review from back in 1971, and that review was saying that it was delivering the gore that the younger audiences craved or something like that. So I guess there's more. I guess by the time 1971 hits, especially late 1971, there must be more gore out there. We know that Cat o' Nine Tails was a lot more graphic than Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which came out only 1 year before. So I could see it going that way. I'm going to have to watch more to really confirm that. But either way, this one is gory, and I know that after 1971, things really do go more in that direction. So that makes sense. So overall, I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. It was written by Louis Davidson, who was mainly writing TV series, TV episodes. He did a couple of Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes. Other than that, I think it was mostly some British television shows that I'm not too familiar with. So 7 out of 10. I would say slightly below average for Hammer, although still probably slightly above average for the time period, if that makes sense. I'll go a little bit more into the plot, so if you want to go watch this, you can go watch it on Shudder or Amazon Prime, either one, or you can buy it, which is probably even better. So plot-wise, it's a little bit silly because what triggers Jack the Ripper's daughter, Anna, to kill people is when she gets kissed. And so anytime someone kisses her, actually, if she sees a shiny object, it puts her into a trance, and she kind of has flashbacks to when her father killed her mother, and then when she gets kissed, she remembers of when her father kissed her, and then she kills the person. So, in my opinion, and I've said this before, This is the earliest slasher I've seen. Now, I've heard that Mario Bava's Bay of Blood was the first slasher from a few people I know. Actually, only one person ever said that to me. A lot of people talk about, you know, Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Black Christmas as first slashers. This is 1971. This is 3 years before Texas Chainsaw or Black Christmas. A Bay of Blood came out a couple months before this, so that could be it. And I'll find out very soon because I'm going to watch that one soon. But I would say this is a slasher. Now, that term is usually used in the 80s, and not so much in the 70s, especially the early 70s, but here's why I say it's a slasher. Every time this girl, Anna, kills someone, she's using a different weapon. So there's no pattern. Serial killer movie, which is similar to a slasher, serial killer movie has a pattern, usually, at least in its victims. This is not really a pattern other than she's triggered by a kiss, but she doesn't kill only women, she doesn't kill only men, she doesn't kill anyone of a certain age. She doesn't plan for any of it, which I think is a major reason why it's not a serial killer movie, even though Jack the Ripper was a serial killer. But this movie, the other thing is slashers don't dwell on the story or the backstory of the characters that much. It's just more about people getting killed, and that's really where this one falls in. There's a part of the plot where a doctor is trying to cure Anna because he knows that she's killing people and tries to cure her unsuccessfully. But I would still call it a slasher because she's just picking up whatever's in the room and killing people for almost no reason. Every slasher has some little reason except for like Halloween. There's like some reason why they're killing people, and so this is like, she was traumatized as a child, which of course Halloween gets into that if you get deeper into the franchise. Anyway, I call it a slasher. Anna kills people with shard of a mirror, hairpins, a sword. Let's see, what else? Her father kills her mother with a knife. I'm forgetting one or two here. And then at the end, yeah, well, I won't tell you what happens at the end because you can see it for yourself. Overall, yeah, it's all right. No, I didn't really connect with any of the characters that much. It's kind of just, I feel like it's just there for like the kills, which is, you'll find out if you stick with me. I don't really care for slashers that much. I need a little more depth than that to like really enjoy it. But anyway, overall it's pretty good. There were a couple little twists in the story too. Different people suspect other different people of being the killer, which was interesting. Although there's no mystery, we know it was Anna the whole time. That's another reason why I prefer Giallos, because I'm thinking the whole time, trying to figure out who the killer is. Like in this one, there's nothing to think about. You know it's her. The characters mostly know it's her the whole time too. You just have this doctor trying to prevent it and just failing because she keeps doing it. All right, so that's it for Hands of the Ripper. Okay, that's it for Peter Sasdy for 1971. He's got another one in 1972, so we'll see him in the next year. But we've got a lot of 1971 left to go. Oh, before we go, this is displayed here, the double feature original poster of Twins of Evil and Hands of the Ripper, which were released together in the UK. Both were rated X, and by the way, so was Countess Dracula when it was originally released, rated X. I said it was PG last time. I believe it had a PG rating in the US, but in the UK it was rated X. All these movies, most of these movies, Hammer films were rated X. They were really, really strict in the UK back then. I think they got even stricter in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe they didn't, but movies got crazier, and then they just started banning movies in the UK. These ones were rated X. Here is an American poster. It's got the R rating. Okay. I like these ones better. They're like clearly hand-drawn. This one might be hand-drawn, but It's like a lot more realistic. It didn't come out until late 1972 in the U.S. Like a whole year later, a whole year after it was released in the UK. All right, that's it for Hands of the Ripper. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.